a quick body scan with the intention of really checking in with our bodies in the space of what is here and what's no longer serving us, what is here and what needs to be cultivated, right? What inside of us is reaching out, calling out, and asking, for our attention in this time. So in somatics, we don't really focus too much on like changing the body, right? The body changes itself. So as we're going through, it's a little bit different from like a yogic body scan, which in yoga, you may go in and you may feel in and try to relax the shoulders. You may feel in and maybe try to, work on changing the different state of your body. But here, I really want you to be a witness, right? Less of trying to make a change, less of trying to fix yourself, less of noticing and judging, and more of just bringing in the two components of curiosity. So like childlikeness, right? Exploration and really looking within yourself. And the other piece is nurture, right? Is compassion. Being able to see the things that may come up, the things that may trigger you, the things that you may not like and may want to judge. And instead of judging, looking at it from this place of like a mother, right? Looking at it as this place of like an opportunity to parent yourself in that area, right? So that's really the intention here, is to come into the body, to feel through our bodies and start to notice what is here speaking, communicating, right? We say that the sensations of the body are the language of the body. What are the little tiny ears, right, that are lining our bodies, that are whispering and telling us to pay attention? So I invite you all to find a comfortable place. You don't have to do anything in particular. So you don't have to sit, you don't have to lay, you don't have to stand, you don't have to close or open your eyes, but whatever makes you feel comfortable and whatever helps you bring yourself more within your body is what I will invite you to start to situate yourself within. So for me, I like to drop in by closing my eyes. I might open them right at a given moment during the session, but for now, I'm going to start off with just closing my eyes. Inviting you all to start feeling in and just noticing what it's like to feel. Before I give you any directions, where does your creativity take you? Where does your intuition take you? What do you start to notice is calling your intention and your attention right away? You might feel some aching in your shoulders. You might feel some soreness in your back. You might feel a tiredness in your eyes and your head. You might feel a heaviness in your body, a warmth or a coolness. You might just feel an overall sense of bliss to be here, to be in the space. Just start to notice what's present for you. As you start to gain an awareness, as you start to gauge the energies that are currently circulating here, we just start with just connecting to the thing that you are sitting or laying or standing on. Maybe that's your butt in the chair, your back on the back of the chair. Maybe that's your body laying down in your bed, sitting on your couch, on your floor. Maybe that's your feet planted on the ground as you stand. Just starting to feel into the piece of you that connects to your foundation. Notice in this space the support that is being lended to you, right? As you sit on that thing, as you stand on that thing, as you lay on that thing, you get to do nothing and be supported. You get to send your body, your energy, your weight, the things that you've been carrying down and surrender them to the very thing that's holding you up. Feel the beautiful essence of support that is present for you in this moment. And notice what it's like to connect. Notice if you're resisting that support. Maybe you're still tensing your shoulders. Maybe you're still in your head. Maybe your attention is somewhere else outside of this moment. Just feel whatever it is you're sitting on. From this space, starting to move downward into the feet, feeling the feet and noticing if there's any particular sensations, temperatures, tingling, anything you may notice as you bring your awareness down into your feet. You may notice the urges to move, to wiggle, to stretch them. And here you have the permission to do that, right? You have the permission to allow your toes to wiggle, your ankles to rotate and to play in the space. Give them permission to open and move. Moving up from the feet into the ankles. And again, just noticing these hinges, these joints that carry so much emotional residue, carry so much energy throughout our bodies. Moving up from the ankles, feeling the lower legs, the shins, the calves, into the knees, the back of the knees, the hamstrings and the quads, the top of the thighs. Feeling up into the pelvic region, into the sexual organs, and into your hips. And just taking a moment to feel the legs in their entirety. Right? Our legs are our journeyers, the things that walk us through this life. So even as we experience things, even as we witness things, even as we work through things in the mind, in the spirit, our legs too have a rendition of that story. They too have things that they are carrying. So just take this time to listen in, to feel, to notice, and to bring gratitude to your legs for carrying you this far. Starting to move your awareness up, out of the legs and out of the hips, feeling into the space beneath the belly button, the center point of our bodies. Moving up into the womb or the abdominal region. Checking in with your gut, our space of intuition, and also our space of elimination, ridding ourselves of toxins, letting go, noticing what you feel there, noticing what those sensations are communicating. Coming up through the gut, up the abdominals, into the rib cage. Maybe noticing as you take in a breath, how that rib cage opens and stretches and expands to welcome in more life force energy into your body. How it accommodates more breath to be sent throughout each and every cell, each and every tissue of your body. Coming up from that rib cage into the chest and feeling into the center of the chest, into your heart. Just taking a moment to be with your heart space, feeling into what you feel there, noticing how your shoulders even shape around your heart. Are you hunched over? Are your shoulders rounded as a space of protection to guard your heart? Are you shrinking yourself in this space of your chest and your shoulders? Just noticing how you're sitting and noticing how you sit on the regular in relationship to this center point of your chest, this heart that keeps us alive, that welcomes in love. Moving up from the heart and starting to feel into the shoulders. So noticing those traps that we're always complaining about, right? That space where we just wish somebody would come and squeeze. Noticing the tension, noticing the heaviness, noticing even maybe the stillness, the relaxedness, whatever you feel in that space, just lending your attention there. And now starting to move down that piece of the shoulder, down the arms. So feeling into your biceps, your triceps, down into the space in between the elbow, into the forearms, the wrists, and the hands. And noticing if the wrist wants to rotate, if the fingers want to wiggle, the hands want to play and stretch. Again, giving them permission when you feel those natural impulses to just move, allowing that movement to happen. Sometimes movements get trapped in our bodies. Sometimes impulses get trapped in our bodies when we disallow ourselves to process. So when you give that freedom, that permission for this piece of you to move, you actually allow that energy to release itself from your body. So again, just checking in and noticing if anything inside of you wants to move. Moving back up from the arms, back up into the tops of the shoulders, and now feeling into your neck, right? Feeling into the front of your neck, into your throat, and really noticing what you feel here. Right? Our throat, our center of communication, the space where we speak, we birth, we create, right? We open portals in this area. We create worlds in this area. Checking in with this space. Is it tight? Does it feel restricted? Are you coughing? Noticing what the relationship here is with your throat and your communication. Moving into the sides of your neck and feeling into those lateral sides. Noticing if there's a stiffness, if there's a tension. Noticing if you feel one side more than the other. Maybe you feel your right more than your left more than your right. And again, noticing if the neck wants to move or stretch, the head wants to rotate. I know mine does. And then feeling the back of the neck. This space we often brace here. So when we're feeling fear, when we're feeling like something may be coming and you kind of stop and pause and wait, kind of like a squirrel when you're approaching it, right? This is the area that we use often to do that bracing. So just noticing your relationship here. Noticing if you've been holding on to tension that isn't necessary or maybe is related to some threat, some worry, some fear from the past. Tapping into this area and just checking in. And then feeling down from the neck, down the spine, into the back. Right? Really just noticing the spine, noticing maybe you feel energy moving up and down. Maybe you feel some tightness from sitting constantly. Maybe you feel like, again, you want to open up, stretch, move, bring some traction in between those vertebrae, giving yourself permission to do so. And then lastly, moving up the spine into the face, feeling into that jaw, another space that holds so much tension. Think about as many times as you clench your jaw when you're angry, or maybe you grind your teeth in your sleep. Maybe you feel a suppression, a tightness in your jaw that relates to your communication as well. Feeling into the jaw and noticing there's any open and closing, any movement that wants to happen, any expression that wants to be released and let go and be seen and witnessed here in this moment. Coming up and feeling into the eyes, noticing how the eyes sit in the sockets. Are they heavy? Are they dense? Are they sad? Or are they bright and open and looking out to see what can they create, to see what can they notice? Maybe they're too wide, right? Again, maybe they're on high alert and they're wanting to search and scan the room for safety, checking in for that exit. Just notice how the eyes live, how they exist, how they are here present in this space. And then check in with that forehead, right? The center where our third eye lives, the space where we use to express so much emotion, right? Think of how many times you furrow your eyebrows or you raise your eyebrows or you tense your face, right? You may even want to bring your hands here and just rub, just massage. Bring some love, some movement, some flow back into this area that we're constantly using, paired with these really deep, really strong emotions. And just reminding it that you're here, that you can tend to it, that you can work through it and assist it in that processing and that expression. Now, taking a moment here to feel into your upper body, right? This piece of us that's literally reaching upwards, upwards into the universe, into the heavens, stretching and creating a newness, growing into the next version of ourselves, growing in this moment as to what it is that we're here to become. Now connecting, right? That heaven, that upper body with that earth, that lower body. Feeling that both as we can reach up and dream and have a big vision, that we can also reach down and plant our feet in the earth to take practical action in the now and accomplish and be. As we come to the end of the practice, you're starting to feel the fullness of your body and just notice how just a couple moments to check in with every piece of you, how you just filled up your cup and how that feels. Notice where you struggled, notice where you felt resistance, and also notice where you felt pulled in and called and connected to. Now starting to bring your energy back into the space. So feeling the presence of others before you open your eyes or look around, just feel the presence of those in the space and notice what that feels like for you. How will you enter the space? Will you allow your voice to be heard? Or were you called here to be a listener? Will you shine your light? Will you welcome in the love and the safety of community? Or will you shrink out of protection? Just relating to the space and what you feel and calling forth your intention as to why you are here and what you are meant to receive. And now slowly starting to open up the eyes if they were closed. Slowly just bringing yourself back to a state of presence. And before you drift off, just taking a moment to look around. Check out your surrounding, look at your walls, your ceiling, your floor. Maybe there's a beautiful painting, a tapestry, a plant in your room that catches your eyes. This is something we call exploratory orienting. And this is our ability to just connect to the present moment. Sometimes we get stuck in the past. Sometimes we get stuck in these old traumatic memories, right? Stuck in moments that we're not even actually, experiencing. You may be anxious and on high alert laying in your bed, right? So it's really important to give you permission to look around and relate to what's here and now, what's present. All right. I thank you all for journeying with me, for taking a moment to love on you, to connect to your body. This is a practice you can do literally every day, anytime you start to feel out of alignment. You can also find me on social media on Instagram at the_trauma_queen. There's many ways to work with me if you're in the New Jersey area. I offer somatic body work. So that's a mixture between somatic processing with trauma and hands-on therapeutic massage. And I also have online coaching opportunities as well if you are feeling called to that. So I can't wait to share space with you, and thank you so much for having me.
Wow. Just wow for that grounding. I'm sure we all are so grateful. Um, yeah, I just want to say a little bit, you preferred L. I think when I first came across your Instagram, it was like the tap 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 in, and when I first actually started hearing a little bit more about your story, and seeing like the online course that you were doing, I was just like, I'm in love, and this is beautiful. You're doing like beautiful work, and I'm so grateful to have you here. Thank you so much for that grounding experience, for bringing us back into our bodies um, as we navigate this emotional terrain. And yeah, I just want to give a huge thank you for being you. So I wanted to center that. Somebody in the comments says, I think it's Janae, I can't hear anything on the audio. Is that true for other folks? No? Okay, I'm not sure. Maybe
I can.
the other people can hear. Feel free to write it in the chat, because I heard everything clearly.
Janae, if you'd like to close your audio and then come back, or even come back into the Zoom, try that. That could work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, click the join audio. Someone said, when you come back, make sure you click the join audio. Okay. Well, after we've had this beautiful grounding part section of this experience, I wanted to move forward with our forum. And we have a beautiful collective of folks here who have really influenced my journey. And like, I'm like their biggest fans. I don't know if y'all know it, but I'm really like in the background, like I love them. But one more person who's in here, who's part of this forum, I'm going to start introducing them, but I'm going to ask y'all as we speak and we start discussing the questions to really introduce yourselves. These are transformational workers. These are healers. These are folks who have been doing the work for a very long time, a lot of times putting me on to things. So I always have to give thanks. And some of these questions that we're going to be getting into, I'm a Scorpio rising. Before I continue, so grateful everyone. Laura L said, so grateful for everyone. I have to prepare for another call, but please enjoy and happy full moon. So Elle had to step out, but we're still grateful. And basically, with this Scorpio full moon, I was saying I was Scorpio rising. I'm a Cancer sun. I like the deep, deep. Like I go there often. Sometimes it's hard to get out of it. That's where I kind of struggle with it. And that's why I need like very grounding. I need like a smoky quartz around me at all times, because I need that grounding. But I feel like this is a beautiful time to actually dive deep into it, to talk about these things in a way where we can all benefit from learning about people's processes in terms of navigating the depths of the human experience. So we know that Scorpio is ruled by like, usually it's like death, like the death card, but it's really about like death and rebirth. about regeneration, about intuition, mysticism. It's about like seeing the depths of who you are, sensuality, pleasure, just like who we are in like an animalistic sense, and like what our reactions are, like natural reactions, instincts. So I sent over some questions. I apologize, I sent them last minute. Um, but the first question I wanted to ask is centered around transformation. And so we have a couple folks here. We have Crystal, Keith, which is the Crystal Warrior, Veronica, Aoye, and Brianna Martin that are going to be, oh, hey, just feel free when, if y'all want to talk, just feel free to talk. Whoever y'all feel called to speak first, go ahead and do so. Please introduce yourselves and the work that you're doing in the community. Yeah, so the question, the prompt is transformation. And it says that transformation can literally feel like death. And it is death in a way. How do we navigate sudden changes, sudden or anticipated changes with grace and surrender? How do we surrender? I have a cat, so that's Oba. He will be a part of it because he likes to talk. But yeah, how do you navigate sudden or anticipated changes with grace and surrender? And how do we surrender? So, however you feel called to answer this question, feel free and do so. I'm going to also put it in the chat.
I guess I'll start. All right, guys. For those of you who joined, just came in, my name is Lee again. I could not figure out how to change my name, but my pronouns are she, her. This is a timely question because I am at this very moment in a state of surrender in my personal life, my romantic life, my career life. And the one thing that I had to say, right? Leo, Sun, Sag, Rising, Libra, Moon, boom, all that fire. I want to control everything. I want to be like, hold on, where are we going? What's happening? Like, what's going on? I had to stop and say, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's happening. I'm scared. I don't know. So for me, the first step is admitting that I have no clue what's going on, right? I'm so used to trying to put on a face because I have to wear this role or I have to carry these bags. You got to get through the day. But on the inside, you're still holding on to all of that pent up energy. So I would say my first step is, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm committed to figuring it out. I always tell people the shift is in the surrender. So that's step one. Step two for me is getting in my body. I have to get in my body because when you're going through a death, right? When parts of you are dying, whether that be a physical part of your body or a state of mind, a lot of times for me, I can live very passively, not eating all day for days, not brushing my teeth until like 3 something in the afternoon, depending on where I'm at with it. So in order to get out of my head, I have to tell myself, hey, we're going for a walk. Why are we going for a walk? Don't worry about why we're going for a walk, because you know that overthinking start kicking in. So I would say admit that you don't know what's going on and then get in your body. Because oftentimes while I'm along that journey, you know, the downloads start coming in, or just sometimes you just physically need to feel yourself. Another thing that I do, I'm a very physical being. So I'm in the mirror, I'm dancing, depending on what I need, you know. If I need a hug, that's what it is. So those are some of the initial, in the moment, like when shit hits the fan, excuse me if you don't curse, but when things start to blow up in my world, those are the first 2 things that I do. And then I whip out my journal. Like y'all know, if you ever had a session with me, this lives under our pillow, not by our bedside. So I'm gonna give somebody else a chance to speak, but that's how I initially handle the shifts or the tower. Thank you.
I can go next. Hi, everyone. Very grateful to be in this space. I'm Brianna, I use she, her pronouns. I'm kind of stuck on the word grace because I feel like my process often doesn't feel graceful. Like it's I would say gentleness. Like I've been navigating a lot of change and I've been trying to surrender and just have compassion for myself throughout it all. And I think part of that is just one, I had read somewhere where it was like, there's always the element of the unknown, right? Like there's, the seeds go underneath the earth and we don't see it, we don't see the workings that happen to bloom what it blooms, when we're in the womb, that period of darkness, we don't see. So there's always the element of like the unknown. And I think that helps me with the surrender piece. Cause it's like, you could be, sometimes I am like, I'm going to manifest everything here on this vision board. This is going to go exactly this way. And it's just like surrendering because, I don't control everything, and just like remembering like that earth, remembering like the womb, remembering like that element of surprise. And then I think with like the changes, like, I moved back, an international move during the pandemic, dealt with death, 2 major deaths in my family, just quit my job, like just a lot of change. Like I'm a Scorpio Venus, Scorpio Moon, Taurus rising, and Libra. So it's just a lot of energies, but I feel like I'm at a time where it is like deep transformation. And I think it's just being gentle with like my humanness, my soul in this vessel and just the process, the things I can't control. The emotions that come up, like crying when I feel like I want to cry, sleeping. I love what you were saying, Lee, about like, those moments where I just been in bed, like and not eating, and then another day, it'll be a different day, but just being like, this is where I am today and this is how I'm going to show up and this is how I'm going to be gentle in myself. So I think in a snapshot overall, it's just like always remembering that there always will be an element that I can't control. And then remembering like, as much as I am a human in this body, like I'm here on this earth, like that's not all of me, right? And just like connecting and then remembering that. And then just being gentle, it's just like, this is part of the humanness and I'm just gonna be gentle and compassionate with like what I have on my plate and take it one day at a time. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. I can go next. My name is Veronica Agard. I use she, her pronouns. My work right now is a couple of things, but what feels relevant to this space is a project called Ancestors in Training. This question of death and transformation, it reminds me of the mythology around phoenixes, right? And how they have to die in order to be reborn, right? But the other thing that I keep thinking about whenever folks talk about this kind of work, especially with not only just death in and of itself, but just like forms of ourselves that we shed, right? Especially because when thinking about scorpions as an animal, right? Like they have to molt their whole body in order to make another shell to protect themselves, right? But what feels important to see right now is a reminder that I heard somewhere, and it's somewhere on my Instagram. If I get the citation, I'll put it in the chat. But somebody said once on the internet that this kind of transformation at times is like burying a lot of bodies. And sometimes they're not your bodies to bury, right? And once I heard that, I was like, okay, so when we're doing this kind of somatic work, like what Elle said, or trying to be better about journaling, like what Lee said, we can find that we've inherited some narratives that were never ours to begin with. And for me personally, that has come up when I've been forced to slow down, right? So for me, and for folks that personally know me, I'm usually like, okay, go, we got to do all the things, got to run around. I'm a Sagittarius sun, Capricorn stellium, Libra rising, Aquarius moon. So I want to be quick at times with things. But then all of my Capricorn energy is like, nope, you go sit here and you're going to try and figure this out. And if you don't figure it out, it's okay, right? And I think that at least this moment in time for me, with everything happening in the pandemic and not having to work and being fortunate to not have to work and just sitting with myself, that has been an act of surrender. right? And it's been generative because I've gone through that kind of moment of not having to be on all the time, or like losing one professional identity and then gaining another. Because the other thing is, when we talk about things that we want to gain, right, or like things that we want to manifest, I'm always like, okay, but we also have to shed things. We have to make room for the blessings, right? Because otherwise it's like having a bunch of stuff per se, and there's no room for what you're trying to ask for because you haven't let go, or you haven't buried whatever idea that you need to, right? And that can be fertilizer for something else to come, or it can be fruit for something else that's going to come.
A word. A word. Y'all are giving me life. I'm just writing down quotes. I don't know if anyone else wants to add to this prompt. We can also move forward from it. What's the energy?
Um, so what I was feeling about surrender, how do we surrender? I think about what needs to be surrendered, you know? And for me, oftentimes it's that conflict between the ego and the heart, the yeah, the mind and the heart, or what we think things should be as opposed to what they are, or you know. Um, and so for the higher self to then step in as the mediator and say that there should be surrender here, and allowing both parties to then work together. For me, that's what I think of when I think of surrender. It's very intentional because we have to bring our awareness and our consciousness into the aspects that aren't in surrender. And we have to look at the condition of them because they are not in that state of surrender, that state of alignment, that state of flow. Okay, which I feel like just from using the context of this sentence, those words can be used synonymously. Um, yeah, that's all I have to say. Oh, I'm Alye. Hey. um, I do, readings, Akashic Record readings. I teach Akashic Record readings as well. I'm also a ceremonial shaman. I offer mushrooms in a ceremonial sense, as well as grandmother ayahuasca. A little bit about me. I'm based in Brooklyn.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to get clear on that one of the lines you said. We have to bring our awareness and aspects that are not something in surrender, that are not used to being in surrender. How would I quote that? I think you muted yourself.
We have to bring awareness to the aspects of ourselves that are not in a state of surrender.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Again, I feel like this is just like transformation 101. I love it here. I love it here. It's so hard, but it's so beautiful. Because I know it's just like this Scorpio energy, this Pluto trying to, what is squaring Uranus. And we're just going through deep, deep transformations, whether we like it or not. And I think this is all beautiful information, how to get to it. I wanted to know if anyone else wanted to talk about this. If not, we can move forward.
I will. I'm Liberty. I was led to this meeting by Elle, and I'm not even a speaker, but I just feel led to speak. What surrender means to me would be to let go and just allow things to align and fall into place as they should, instead of feeling like you have to control or it has to be your way, because your way is not always the best way. So that's what I'm experiencing with surrender. and just letting things be and just letting go for the most part. Short and simple.
Thank you, Liberty. I appreciate that. I feel like, yeah, surrender is one of the main parts of transformation. Um, the other question I wanted to ask is centered around intuition. Um, how do you know your intuition is speaking to you? Is it in your physical body, your emotional body? What are some ways that you receive intuitive nudges? So I'm going to also put this question in the chat.
Hello, everyone. My name is Keith Smith. I also go as the Crystal Warrior. I create crystal healing wands. I also work in the records as well. More recently, I've been working in the galactic records. I use a technique called soul realignment that assists people in connecting with their divine soul blueprint and clearing out negative karma from this life or past lives. So that's kind of how I work. I'm also a mental health counselor. And I love the question about the intuition. You know, I think intuition can come from a variety of places. I think we have our higher self that gives us messages and guidance. We also have around us our spiritual guides, and they are also always sending us messages and guidance if we choose to follow them. And I think it's a practice of learning to listen to the guidance, but then the next step is actually following the guidance. And sometimes that guidance can be scary and take you into places where you're not really comfortable, but that's really where you need to be going. I think you can use your emotional body and many of your different bodies to pick up messages, thoughts, and feelings. I mean, we are multidimensional beings. I think the more we connect with that aspect of ourselves, the more we're able to hear, listen to, and follow the guidance. I know I can remember as kind of a kid hearing what you say voices in my head that really was guidance, and sometimes powerful guidance. I can think of being protected at times, of standing like on a street corner, waiting for traffic and about to take a step and hear a voice go, "Stop!" and just pull back, and suddenly this car comes flying by. So, you know, that happened for me at a very young age. So it made me really listen when I hear the voice. One of the techniques I started using, actually, when I lived in New York, I actually would ask my guides to scream at me because I was in New York and there's so many distractions in New York, you know, people, cars, everything. So I started in meditation asking my guides, would y'all please scream at me? And for me, that really helped to bring the volume up so I could hear even more. So that's kind of how I think of using your intuition.
Thank you, Key. Beautiful. I think that intuition looks different for everybody. I wanted to know if anyone else wanted to add to that.
I'd like to add to that it's also important when trying to figure out your intuition to keep discernment as a part of your toolkit too, right? Like figuring out like how can you make sure that what's coming through is like fully a message that you like, you gotta hear it, versus a message that might not necessarily be meant for you too, right? Like there's sometimes I think that if we're attached to other people, this goes into like the logic for cord cutting, but sometimes it's like there's a feeling that you get, but it's not really your feeling. So then you're like, okay, am I being empathic right now? Like, how can I figure this out? So I think discernment is important. But yes, in New York City being a different energy. In terms of a physical body, I know for me, it'll be in my literal gut. Like it feels like that moment when you know the roller coaster is about to drop and there's nothing you can do, like that, like your stomach is, that's the only way I can describe it. In terms of what can happen when it's like either this moment is important, right? That happens for me sometimes. It will just be a flash of like, you need to pay attention to whatever is about to happen. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a good thing, bad thing, or somewhere in between. But also, like, have conversations with your family if you can about what their intuition looks like, because you might find out that their intuition communicates with them similarly or differently, right? Because I know my mom calls it a little birdie. So then sometimes if I'm speaking on something, I'm like, I don't even know what to do, a bird will be loud, right? Like that happened to me on Saturday, and it was a mockingbird, which normally does not appear in Brooklyn. I don't know why. There happened to be a loud mockingbird near where I was, and I was like, where's my mother? She's like on this plane, but it was interesting given what I was talking about. So intuition can also be in nature too, because we are nature. It does not necessarily have to be our physical body.
Yeah.
I want
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to add on to what Veronica said about discernment. One thing that I had to learn myself, because I would find, oh, firecrackers. Why am I thinking about firecrackers? And I say it out loud, and then someone next to me said, oh, we should just order it. And so identifying and recognizing what your intuition sounds like, and making sure that you are carving out that alone time to sit with yourself, so that when you do pick up on other people, you can tell the difference between, oh, this is not my energy, or this is not my intuition. And I think if you are somebody, especially talk about living in New York and Brooklyn and these busy, really loud cities, right? Finding what is that quiet place for you. What does that look like? The city already has its own tune, its own sound. So do you make it intentional, maybe a top of your day or before bed? Are you carving out intentional time where there is no noise outside of the natural sounds of the city? I think just going back to being intentional about it. And that's all I wanted to add to that.
I wanted to add something too, because I really like what Veronica was saying about discernment with your intuition, especially coming from a place of trauma. It can look really different, like what your so-called intuition could be telling you. And that's why what Lee was also saying is like, you have to do the work of sitting with yourself to know the discernment of what is your intuition versus something that could be maybe a trauma response, a trigger, maybe something that's outside of that actual intuition, which takes time. And I think it's about like being gentle with self. And I think once we live and we start experiencing, we have guides no matter what. They're going to be, as Keith was saying, we have ascended masters, guardians, ancestors, angels, spirit animals, whatever guides that are called for you, to you, you have that energy that is for you. And it's just a matter of attuning yourself to it, which is like a process. And speaking of New York loudness, does anyone else want to add?
When I think about intuition, I think of conversation, think of communication, and how when folks are developing that intuition, oftentimes it's through communication with an ancestor or someone that's departed. And so there begins to cultivate or continue a conversation that we can then become like attuned to or begin to recognize when a certain force or source is communicating to us, because we know that signature, we know that soul, you know? And so through that, how can I say, like learning of like communicating with them, it's like we begin to communicate and like learn how those same gifts within us are being applied in other situations with other people, maybe in real life with people that are still here, etc. And so we then begin to learn the other different forms of communication in terms of intuition and via conversation. And sometimes conversation isn't like verbally, whereas speaking verbally, some people can pick up things. Like it's when you hear a person talk, you can kind of like intuitively pick up things on their voice, as well as, not speaking at all, and then they're just being like complete intuition of just this telepathic communication, as well as like physical, where like you touch a person and then you intuitively know things, and this is a form of like communication. There are some people who may like just grab your arm and you just kind of like know what's going on. That's a form of intuition. Most of the time it's like women like historically they've just been like so in tune with this. It's just like they've had to know or grow that, how can I say, that sense of awareness, because they weren't able to speak in many instances, so it's like that sense had to grow. Yeah, that's what I had to say about intuition.
Thank you for that. Which is also very beautiful, like through intuition, the idea of like opening up other forms of like intuitive abilities or abilities within yourself. I think that's very beautiful. Does sorry y'all. Does anyone else want to add on to it, or we can definitely move forward?
I guess the only piece I'll add is that I realize it's like trial and error too, like moments where I felt like I knew something. And I love who mentioned it earlier, like it's a 2-part series. It's like getting, the message and then taking the action on the message. Because there have been times when I've gotten the message and I'm like, but I think I can handle it. Or like, I second guess myself. And then in the long run, it's like, I should have just listened to myself to begin with, So that definitely has been trial and error and practice and strengthening that muscle a little bit more. And the 2-part, I love the 2-part. And then I would say sometimes like, it's so ironic and funny, but like I feel like I'll get messages through like songs or shows that I'm watching, like it'll just be like little things like that, just like being present and aware. It's just like, everything is talking to me,
Right. I'm like, okay, we could get the intuition, heard it. Am I gonna act on it? Is the big question. But thank you for that. That's the necessary 2-part, and I definitely wrote that down. I'm muting myself. I do want to move on to the next question. I feel like it's already 7:30. What I am actually thinking of, I feel like there was a lot of beautiful gems. Lee, how are you feeling about just moving on to the next section?
Yeah, we can move on.
Okay. Because it's a little bit over an hour and I want to just be mindful of everyone's time. If folks need to, if this is a little bit too long for folks, it's past 7:30, feel free to head out at this time, but I think we're going to start transitioning to the next section. So yeah. Thank you for all the folks who spoke. Thank you for all your wisdom, your knowledge. I know that the Crystal Warrior Keith was gonna head out at 7:30, but let us know if you still are. Okay, yeah, Keith said, it's been a pleasure. Check me out at www.crystalwarrior.com. Please check out Keith. He does wonderful Akashic records. So I'm not sure the exact name, but I've done the readings with him and they're really insightful and like beyond insightful. Like he literally told me about my past lives. So yes. For this next section, We're gonna go into a little bit of a general read. Oh yeah, he also does crystal healing wands. I have one of those as well, because period. And it's wonderful. Like you tell him a selection of like a selection of crystals, and he puts them together in a wand in this like really magical way. So
Thank you,
I'll stop.
everyone.
Bye, Keith.
Bye.
But yes, I see that some people are entering the room right now. Hello to the folks who are joining. I don't know why it's not letting me admit. But yeah, I really appreciate that forum. I don't know if any one of the speakers had anything else that they wanted to add, any like last comments, things that were on their mind before we transition. No, we're good? Okay. Alrighty then. I don't have pre-shuffled cards. I'm just gonna name that. I'm gonna shuffle these cards right now. Lee, do you have pre-shuffled cards for the elements?
Yeah, I shuffled a little bit. Yeah, we're
Okay.
here.
Okay. We are going a little bit above time, so I'm just gonna name that. You know how it is sometimes. But I do want to do like a general card pull on this Scorpio full moon. Let me make sure that everyone is muted. And I think we spoke a little bit about it in terms of this super full moon. It's a pink Scorpio full moon. And this is my animal deck. I really love pulling from this from this deck, because I love me some spirit animals. So I want to know what our spirit guide is for this Scorpio moon. And the animal that came out is the caribou. Ooh. See, there's like a little full moon in the back. Oh wait, it's on this side, isn't it? It's a little full moon in the back. And the symbolism of this card is the cycles of life, rebirth, and abundance. And it says that the caribou make long annual migrations and are associated with the cycle of life, which makes sense. The Inuit peoples believe that as the caribou return to them each season, so did the souls return to the earth after death, taking the form of either beast or human. In the painting, different animals, including, I don't know if you can see it within the caribou, there are different animals. Different animals, including a polar bear, ox, ram, and goose, appear within the body of the caribou. This composite signifies the kinship of all life and recalls the Inuit belief in the universal soul. So the energy I'm getting from this card is literally, we are coming into ourselves. Like every transition that has happened has been needing to happen for a reason, because we're coming back into ourselves. I feel like there's a shedding, because I think this idea of our highest self is not something that we have to attain. It's something that we naturally already are, and we just have to like shed everything else that's stopping us from seeing and being who we are naturally. And I think that that's really the reading, well, part of the reading, because I'm going to pull from like one more deck or two, is that you are abundant in who you are naturally. Your birthright is abundant. Who you are meant to be in this space, and this time and space, is exactly where you need to be. The things that are falling are needing to fall, because other structures that are more stable are needing to come up for you. And just a remembering that, like, I'm just hearing the Earth Warrior deck. In each other we find ourselves, with the idea of like all these different animals within the caribou. So just understand that we're always being held by community. There's an abundance in terms of folks that may come in and out of your life. But I think we're finding a more solid foundation within ourselves, and we're able to see with a little bit more clarity because of these transitions, because we need to go to heaven and come back to earth to be able to see ourselves. And I say that in like a symbolism type of way of like how life can feel sometimes. And I also find it kind of cute that at the top of this deck is my crocodile. I love that. I love this card. So sometimes I like to read from the top or the bottom. I'm going to stick to the top because I really love this crocodile. And again, this energy of like fertility, like mysticism, seeing things from just a different perspective. I'm also feeling like the energy of like seeing your worth, seeing who you are, like waking up and loving who you are. Um, and I'm gonna ask for some advice. That's funny. One card just came out and it was intuition. And with this intuition card, you just see just a lot of blue. So what I'm hearing with this blue is just like communication, throat chakra. So communicating with self, communicating from yourself to your guides, communicating with your ancestors, communicating with your highest self. And it says the energy of intuition supports our ability to conceive the subtle language of the realms beyond the three-dimensional reality. And at the bottom of the deck, we have seventh chakra. This is giving me the energy of the meditation from earlier, working from our feet all the way up to our crown and just like noticing that energy. We have the energy. When I think of seventh chakra, I think of like God. I think of community. I think of like when you think of somebody and then they text you, and like that's the type of energy that I'm feeling. It's like just an attunement into yourself, into your intuition. There's like a keenness coming in with our intuition. And I think our intuition is guiding us in a very specific way in this moment. Yeah, I'm just saying like a marriage of self, a marriage of our knowingness, a marriage of our past selves with our present and our future selves with our present. Um, and I think it's a very beautiful energy. So yeah, I was gonna pull a tarot card, but I think I want to leave the elements. I want to move forward with the elements card. Please let me know how that resonated for you. Um, and yeah, my name is The Blue Hex. You can find me on IG I'll put here, The Blue Hex LLC. And I also have a website at thebluehex.com. I'm one of the hosts of this event, and my intention for this event was community. It was to be in a space with other folks who are also in this place of transition and want to engage and speak on wisdom and on truth, really. And yeah, so thank you for being here. And I definitely want to move it forward to our elements read with Lee. So yes.
All right, thank you, thank you, thank you. I resonated with that reading. You guys can drop in the comments below if you did. I think it mirrored a lot of the discussion because we're here for a reason. All of us, everybody on this call right now, we're in alignment. Even if you thought, even if your mind is thinking about that thing that you have to do after this, you're here. Let's continue to tap in. I'm gonna start with earth signs. I'm just gonna deep breath in. All right, so the first thing that came to me was when you notice it, acknowledge it. And this goes for everybody, not just earth. This is for everybody's element. When you notice it, acknowledge it. You are shedding right now. You are growing. You are not the person you were a week ago. You're not the person you were a month ago. It's important for ourselves and for our minds and for our hearts and for our bodies that we check in and say, hey, thank you. I noticed that we didn't react to this conversation the same way we did a week ago. Thank you for that. These subtle high fives, right? They go a long way in the end. So I just want to put that out there because that was really resonating on my heart. So earth signs, let's see what's going on. Spirit, at this time, I just want to thank you for trusting me, for choosing me, for using me as the vessel to deliver this message. May we all be open to receive any message that you have for the earth signs, fire, air, water. Flow through me. This is your reading. Flow through me. This is your reading. Ashe. Okay, we got rejoice and celebration. This is beautiful. Okay, so I'm picking up on two energies. The first card that we got out is rejoice and celebration. Earth signs, I feel like you all stayed down during the winter. Y'all stayed down and you're coming up. I'm picking up on a lot of pieces are connecting, opportunities are coming out. A lot of you might have been connecting with family members that are sharing good news to you, material and spiritual prosperity. But I am getting the internal action of make sure that you slow down. And I know this goes without saying, you guys are earth signs, you're good at staying grounded. But as you are celebrating, remembering what got you to this place, as you are connecting with new people and stepping into new spaces, reminding yourself that you got here off of your guides, your work, the work that you've put in, but just remember the mental space that you were in when the seeds were first planted. Remembering where you were at as the plant was growing, right? And as the tree was expanding, and now that the fruit is falling, just keeping all of that in mind. Also remembering the people, you know what I mean? The people that you started with, they might not have been the people you ended with, but guess what? Everybody plays their role. And I think that this is coming up because sometimes we forget, or we get to the end and we're like, dang, I thought this person was going to be there for me. But maybe that person was only meant to walk next to you at the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they serve their purpose. And then giving grace and being understanding and not taking it so personally because we thought that this person didn't write it out or this person didn't stick it out. So the message that I have for y'all is, with this new growth and expansion and prosperity, be graceful. Understand that everybody's playing their role, and you absolutely are meant to be in the rooms that you're meant to be in. Staying grounded. You may be around new energy. You may be around people who they're obviously like they're moving at a different frequency than you. Remember to carve out your alone time. Also speak up, because that's coming up too. It's okay to work around and work within people who have a lot going on, but it's very important for you to draw your line in the sand. My alarm clock starts at 7:30 in the morning. Please do not call me at 5:45. It is never that deep. You know what I mean? So just remembering that you have healthy boundaries, remembering to give yourself healthy boundaries, remembering to bring yourself back to you. And as you're shedding, remind yourself, hey, say to yourself, not remind yourself, say to yourself, thank you for taking me this far, but I've got it from here. And I say that to myself in the mirror when I realize that old parts of me, again, are responding to situations. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I've evolved past that. But sometimes we do have to shake hands with ourselves and say, hey, it's been real, but I can take it from here, you know? And so I invite you all to keep that in mind as you are shifting. I'm gonna pull some tarot cards and see. I saw somebody write in the chat. I didn't quite see what it said, but hold on. Let's look at.
We got a wow. This is so aligned.
Sorry, what was that?
Someone said wow, and with a heart, and then someone else said this is so aligned.
Yeah, and so earth signs, like I said at the top, a lot of you have planted those seeds, right? This is Empress energy. This is allowing things to come to you. This is not pushing, this is not forcing. You don't have to blow that person up. Just allow. What's for you will not miss you. And if you're present, if you're still long enough, you will be right there when it's in front of you, right? Also tapping into your flow energy. Intuition is coming back. This is what I was going to say earlier, because intuition just came back just now. Not comparing your intuition and not comparing your voice to your friends. You can be in a room, you can be in a circle with 5 people and you all pick up on something very differently. And if this is the beginning of your journey or any part of your journey, but particularly in the beginning when we're first trying to understand and identify what that voice is, remembering that you are your own person, you have your own power, and not comparing it. No voice is the same. No 2 voices are alike. You know, I've been off my intuition for a while. Okay, yes. And so since you know that, now you can sit down and figure out, what does that look like? I'm not going to say, but what is that journey back to discovering your voice and your sound look like for you, right? And so I would say that you're not comparing yourself. You're not out here on Front Street, because this is coming up. So you're not on Front Street trying to sell yourself like, hey guys, I'm this, I'm that. That can happen, especially in the beginning of your journey, right? You're trying to sell yourself as something. Just be. I invite you to be. I invite you to be exactly who you are right now. And if who you are tomorrow changes, that's fine too, right? Also, tapping into your emotions. If there's some heaviness there, you know, we're all collectively going through it, but if there is some heaviness there, how are you expressing your emotions? Is that a creative outlet? Are you about to just run a bath and cry? Like, what is it? So if you have been feeling like blocked lately, right? Maybe you are winning materialistically, maybe spiritually you're feeling sound, but if emotionally you are carrying some tension here, checking in with your body, going back to what we were doing at the top, identifying those areas and figuring out, what does release, healthy release look like for you? And is it time to update that release routine? So earth signs, that's the message that I have for you. Who's next? Let's see. Air signs. Air signs. That song just came to me. So if you know that song, I don't know the name of it. I don't remember the name of it. Put it in the chat. That song came to me. So air signs, what I just picked up on as, I'm gonna talk for just the song because what's coming through is from the song. Air signs, right now, I feel, obviously we're all evolving, we're all expanding, but air signs, I feel that we're finally getting clear on what it is you love. Thank you. What it is you love, what it is, the energy that you're inviting in. I'm feeling that y'all are getting more intentional about the energy that you've been allowing, been tolerating, and not even in a nasty way. I feel like air signs right now are graciously opening the door and allowing old habits and people to walk out of our lives. You know what I mean? Like, it's been real. Y'all can have tea. It doesn't have to be like a slam, you know, unless it calls for that. But air signs at this time, I'm loving this energy because I feel like y'all are finally being able to put a face to, look at that shadow, right? You're finally looking at yourselves in the mirror, like really hardcore. My life is this way, but what have I been doing to get it this way? And holding yourselves accountable. Not playing the victim, showing up and saying, you know what? I was wrong there. Okay, I know I reacted this way, but I was a little messed up. And let's have that conversation with myself. And if there is, and especially at this time, right? Especially at this time, I feel like as we are looking in the mirror and holding ourselves accountable, there are things about you that you're not going to like that are coming up. How you navigate these feelings and how you navigate these realizations is so important. Give yourself grace. First of all, admit out loud, going back to admitting, like, you know what, I was wrong. If you cannot have a conversation with this person, I invite you to go outside, go wherever and have this conversation with nature, have this conversation with spirit, put it in your journal, whatever it is, release it from your body so that you can flow, you know, be more airy, be more light in your heart. Whatever it is, I'm seeing air signs, let it out. Let it out. And also forgive yourself. Forgive yourself, because I find that a lot of you, as you're looking in the mirror, I'm seeing like people wanting, literally what I'm seeing is like people banging on the mirror until it breaks because you can't sit with your reaction. And instead of banging on the mirror, I invite you to hold the mirror, get closer. Get closer. And whatever that part is, if it's your body, if it's a conversation, if it's a piece, if it's a way of thinking, I invite you to forgive yourself. It's not always going to be easy, but however that comes out for you, right? If that's through verbalization, if that's through movement, I just invite you to forgive yourself and be a lot more gracious, because it can be difficult, right? And allow the emotions to flow. If there is a person that you can talk to at this time, talk to them. But air signs, I'm loving that so far. I want to pull a couple more cards. Y'all reading came out strong. Okay, I do have a lot of air placements. Okay, and then step into your light. So as you're shedding and evolving, give yourself that time to really sit with yourself and get to know this new skin and get to know this new shell, but then go out there and be confident about it. And here's another thing too, as you're stepping out into your light, right? And as you're saying, hey world, this is who I am. This is how I'm showing up. This is how I'm speaking up, right? You may, not everyone, but you may start to feel guilty, or who do I think I am? Kind of that imposter syndrome, like who do I think I am? You know, a week ago or a month ago, a year ago, I would have never. It doesn't matter. Leave that in the past. This is who you are now. Shine your light. The world needs it. Your energy, the world needs it. Your voice. There's a conversation. There's a person that is waiting to connect with you. The you that you are now, not the you that you were a year ago. And the more that you resist this transition, the more that you're going to find that conversations are getting to you, or maybe your home is starting to feel like a cage. Air sign, let the air out, air out your homes. Everybody, air out your spaces, clean out your spaces, because as you're evolving, your surroundings are. And if they're not, then that could lead to frustrations and problems, right? Look, confirmation, star card. Again, pouring into yourself, sharing your energy, sharing your world, sharing your light, sharing your gifts. I just think that you're moving to a very unapologetic place and you should be proud of yourself. So air signs, write yourself a love letter tonight. Write yourself a love letter and highlight your growth. Highlight the way that you would still like to grow. And this could be part of your surrender. Okay, I'm gonna move on to fire next. And I'm seeing y'all's conversations in the chat as they're popping up. My mind, I can't stop too much because then I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it. But thank you for hanging in there and thank you for your comments. Fire signs. Okay. Shoot. Fire signs, fire signs, fire signs, fire signs. Fire signs are taking a giant step back right now. Fire signs are taking a giant step back right now, right? Fire signs are leaning into okay, so I'm picking up on a couple things. I think fire signs are finally, the rose-colored glasses are cracked. We understand who's in front of us. We're finally seeing things for what they are. We're no longer hiding behind the signs because we saw the signs. Hello, let's be honest, accountability hour. We saw, right? And I think a lot of what's happening right now is fire signs are kind of feeling alone. And I want to invite you, I know we like to do everything ourselves and we like to say, you know, I brought myself out of this energy, but fire signs, hello, we got the devil and the five of swords. Like it's a lot. This is a lot for us to handle right now. And if you are feeling like you're going through it, right? And this could be addiction, because I'm picking up on lots of addiction type energy too. And I say addiction, I don't just mean substance abuse. I mean addicted to mentalities, addicted to victimhood, addicted to feeling like, you know what, I'm comfortable being comfortable. And right now, I feel like Spirit is pushing me to be very uncomfortable. Spirit is pushing me to end certain connections, and I wasn't ready yet. Me and this person were supposed to get drinks Friday. What do you mean they're not for me? You know what I mean? But you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You have to tap into that inner strength and say, you know what? I know I had a vision. I know I had my vision for the role that this person was going to play, or I know I was supposed to be there right now, and you got to surrender, bring it back to surrender. Where does Spirit want me right now? Tap into that inner strength. It's not always easy, but you have to decide. You've lived your life up until this point. You've seen what it looks like. I invite you to let go, to sit back, to surrender, and to see what Spirit has for you. Not everybody is against you. And what happens when we try to do everything on our own, right? But we do have a few people, it only takes one, right? We do have people who are loving and for us. Fire signs, if there's a conversation, if there's somebody you need to apologize to, right? Someone who means well to you. Maybe they were just trying to support you because they saw that you were going through it and you lashed out on them, you projected on them, whatever it is. own up to it, have those tough talks, have that tough conversation. Because right now you need everybody who genuinely supports you, who genuinely loves you in your corner right now. Fire signs, it's all about community right now. Let me see what else. More cards. New beginnings. So again, all of these endings are leading to what? New beginnings. But in the meantime, we gotta rest. We gotta sit back and say, I don't have it all figured out. If you've been called to spend some time in nature, we talked a lot about receiving signs from sometimes animals, sometimes bugs, sounds, whatever that may be. If you find that you're more productive getting work done outside, go do some work outside. Because what I'm seeing is too, sometimes we can be really rigid, like, no, this is my routine. This is when I like to do that. I invite you to be flexible right now. You never know where that door is going to lead. I invite you to open yourself up to new conversations, new possibilities, because what happens when we think we have it all figured out? Well, we continue to live in cycles. And what I'm also seeing is repeated cycles, I'm trying to say. If you are currently dealing with heartbreak or just came out of it, and I don't just mean this in a romantic sense, I mean in every sense, and you say, okay, Lee, I've done the work. I'm going to get professional help, which there is nothing wrong with. If you've been thinking about it, there's your sign, right? I've gone to get professional help. What is it? I just can't seem to shake this feeling. I can't seem to shake this darkness. I've gotten used to it. I've gotten used to telling the story of my trauma. How do I tell the story of my victory, right? Going back to your surroundings, I'm inviting you to shift. I'm inviting you to look at your surroundings, and I'll start with even your bed, right? Newness. If you want to walk a new life, you want to walk a new truth, I invite you to change. And if you're like, well, I can't move right now. Okay, but can you invest in a new bed set? It sounds really crazy, but these little changes, these small changes are what helps lead to a new mindset. Also audio, because I'm picking up on like, what are you listening to? Is there a playlist that it's time to say goodbye to? Is there some kind of revamping that needs to happen? The person that you go to, right? Your go-to person when things are hot and heavy and like tough for you. When's the last time you went to them and just listened? Didn't ask for anything, didn't dump, didn't say, hey, you know what I mean? When's the last time you went to them and just listened? So fire signs, in every sense, you're being asked to shift your perspective right now. And it's leading to victory. You just may not see it. But if that's what you got to see, if you got to see it's leading to victory, it's leading to like-minded individuals, it's leading to community, it's leading to I just got the vision of like, everybody's like, oh, look, this is my new skin. Oh, this is my new skin. Where you been? I haven't seen you in so long. This childlike energy, this new playful spirit, if you just allow it in. And so if you needed that reassurance to know, or that confirmation, there it is, it gets better. So fire signs, that's the reading I have for you. Water is next. Thank you, my love. Thank you. Thank you. What message do you have for water signs at this time? I'll pull some oracle cards next. Yes. Confidence leading to stability. The internal confidence, okay, boom. So look, that external foundation and that external like groundedness that y'all are searching for, it's coming, but it's coming through the internal power. So this is your solar plexus chakra, right? I call it the personal power chakra. This is the chakra that taps in right? That's like, listen, I can do this. I will do this. We're going to do this. The world needs to see it. Like, I love this chakra. I love this energy. This is your, I just felt the need to rub my stomach. So water signs right now, everything that you're manifesting, that you're calling in, that you're co-creating in your life, it's starting internally. And it starts with that belief. It starts with planting that seed. And it starts with ignoring anything that tells you you can't do it. Whether that's people around you, whether that's your old ways of thinking. Because when I see this card, I think about, okay, conflict with others, but I also think about, well, sometimes we're at war with ourselves, right? And so what I'm seeing, ooh, come on out. What I'm seeing is the more you tap into that, yes, I can, the more, and your actions, not even just mindset, like, yes, telling myself, but then also your actions. As you go throughout your day, those 3 things that's on your mirror that you're like, I'm out here, I'm about to get this, I want this, I want that. Those 3 things that you're being mindful about throughout your day, are your actions in alignment with what you want? Are your thoughts and actions in alignment with what you're trying to bring into fruition? I am seeing you all align with more loving unions, but I'm not even just picking up on the union of somebody else. I'm picking up on just a loving union with yourself. I'm picking up on a commitment to loving and understanding, but also taking action, not waiting on anybody else to show up, not waiting on anyone to hold my hand to get me to that stability that I want, to get me to those things, whether they be material or spiritual things that I'm trying to manifest. Patience at this time. You know that what you want is worth having. How long has it been on your vision board? Years, some of you, right? Some of us. Some of the things that we wanted, it's like, well, dang, I've been at it for so long. But you got to remember, if it's worth it, it's not going to pop up right away. And some of us are not even the versions of ourselves that we have to be to accept this blessing, to walk into these spaces. Some of us are not physically, we're there. Okay, I lost the 10 pounds. I got the new wardrobe. I could walk the walk. I know how to switch it up. I could talk the talk. But mentally, I'm still being triggered like the me from a year ago. So if I walk into that space that I think that I want so badly to walk into, I might get myself kicked out because I'm not who I need to be yet. So please, giving ourselves patience as we're growing and molding into, I would say the higher versions of ourselves, but just the next version of yourself, being patient as you show up as who you are today. Also, watch y'all spending. Okay, watch your spending right now. If you've been balling out, you know what I mean? Money flows to you easily, yes. But just being a little bit mindful. You know, everybody's budget is different. Everybody's investments are different. But just being a little bit more mindful as you are going throughout your week, and not even just monetarily investments, energetically, where are you investing yourself? If I invest myself in this person's party or get together, do I have the energy needed to then get up in a couple of hours and do what I have to do for me, for spirit, for my company, for whatever it is? So being mindful of your energetic piggy bank is what I like to call it, and how much you're giving and how much you're depositing. And then if it is time to switch up the type of deposits that you're making, maybe your routine is getting kind of stale, right? I'm inviting you to find new hobbies, new interests. I believe that y'all are actually trying new things, flowing, trying things that you haven't done before. Sexually, I'm picking up on. This is nice. This is fun, right? And then, tapping into, and if it's not just sexually, creatively. Give yourself a green light. It's okay to switch it up. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to reintroduce yourself in a light that nobody around you, not even your family or closest friends, have seen you before. All of this is going to bring you to your material and spiritual prosperity and success that you've been looking for. But it starts with being willing to take a risk. It starts with tuning out, tapping in and tuning out those voices that say, I can't do it. I won't do it. And it starts with being intentional with your actions. Water signs, you guys are pretty good at flowing. I think just being mindful, because it's coming back, being mindful of that list, whatever that list looks like, as you're out in the world, as other people try to add things to your to-do list, making sure that you're taking care of you first and not giving out, oh, okay, if I do, I can do that for you. Yeah, I got it. And then you're shortchanging yourself and you're beating yourself up. Also, I want to say, not letting anybody rush you in terms of, I want to word this properly. So sometimes people come to us and they're frantic and they got a lot going on and they immediately put it on us, right? Just giving yourself the time to step back and say, okay, hold on, I want to process what you just said. Giving yourself time to process instead of just reacting, right? I think that's going to go a long way too when it comes to tapping into that. Yes, unwarranted dumping or dumping and drawing. Yeah, I think that's going to go a long way too when it comes to tapping into your emotional piggy bank. So water signs, that is the message that I have for you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for staying and connecting. If you'd like to book a session with me or just check me out on socials, it's Lee's Healing House, leeshealinghouse.com, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. And thank you again. Tonight for me was very beautiful and insightful. And so I'm going to read the chat, but I'm going to give it back to you now, love. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Just a drag and enlightenment, everything we need to hear. And yeah, I think even hearing the other signs, I was just like, there was always some like knowledge and wisdom to gain. Please book a reading with Lee's Healing House. Please check out her website. Could you put your stuff in the chat as well so they know where? Because I'm just very honored to be hosting this space with her. And yeah, I want to move forward to our last section of the night, which is a form of release, a new beginning. It's something that I've done previously with Aoye, and it is basically an offering. Y'all can do it now. We can do it now together. If not, you can also do this another time when you feel called to. But I'm going to ask you to grab 2 separate papers. And one of the papers, we're going to be either using fire or water. So if you don't have access to fire, I'm going to ask you to grab a bowl and fill it with water. It could be like a regular bowl or a cup. You're going to have to fold up the paper, and the intention is we're going to be drowning the things that we want to release under the Scorpio full moon. Or we can, if you feel more called to using fire, you can also use fire and burn it. And then for our second paper, we're going to be welcoming in something. Welcoming in, it could be a list of things. It could be one thing that we have on our mind. But for that paper, we're going to keep that paper. We're not, either you can, sometimes I like to hide things from myself. I'll put it like in my underwear drawer, or in my wallet, and then I find it, and a couple months later, I'm like, oh, look, I've done X, Y, and Z. Or what I usually do, I put it in my ancestral altar. I put it where my ancestors are, and I give it to them, and later on I'll find it and pray on it. But yeah, grab your paper, grab your 2 papers. I would say begin writing on things that you would like to release. Also grab your bowl for water. If not, go to your sink and burn it. I don't know if other folks have access. I think it's called a cauldron. I don't know how to pronounce that. If you don't have access to that, that is also okay. That's why I was like, I like the bowl. I'm also like a water sign. I like using water to like transform energy. So yeah, If y'all are still here, again, feel free to grab that bowl, that water, and a paper and begin writing on the release. And we can do this together. I think I'm gonna give like a minute or so. So just to name it again, we're grabbing a bowl with some water in it. We're writing down what we would like to release under this Scorpio full moon. And it could literally be habits. It could be something that's coming to me like self-sacrificing, habits such as that. It could also be perspectives. It could be people, habits, jobs, forms of existing that we don't want to exist in anymore. Brianna. Brianna had to head out, but she's saying that this was a beautiful space and she's sending blessings. Well, if y'all are done, because I can't really see, if y'all are folks done, I can move forward to the next one. Okay, cool. Now part of the section is literally, you can read them out loud to yourself. You don't have to read them out loud to yourself. Sometimes I like to do that. I like to speak to the water and literally tell the water, this is what I'm releasing. This is what I'm no longer allowing to have access to me on all subtle realms and all subtle levels. And then you can just begin to just put the water, the paper in the water, fold it up, put it in, and just watch it go down, watch it drown. And that is that energy of release. That is just that physical feeling that energy go down. And this Scorpio full moon is definitely allowing us to do that. Yes, I see somebody burning. Period. You can also burn it as well. Burn that. Get your lighters up. Stop being silly. And if you're done with the burning, you can move forward to the next part. It's just under this full moon, what are you welcoming? What are you welcoming into your life? What are the energies that you're welcoming into your life? What do you want to feel going forward? I think this is our second full moon of the year, so you can still manifest a lot for this year. What are you trying to feel? What are you trying to see? What are you trying to materialize? Spiritually, this could be under this full moon. If you're trying to dive deeper into your intuition, this is like you can manifest more for your intuition. What I have done is like ask for an increase in my like psychic abilities, like the ability to hear my ancestors, maybe even see them. I'm still within your own boundaries, do these things. getting clear signs. It could be a good time to ask your ancestors for a very clear way you would like them to communicate with you. Like, please communicate with me in feathers, or communicate with me in music, or communicate with me in writing when I write, or when I'm meditating, in very specific ways, in a feeling, maybe in chills. Like, this is a good time to ask your ancestors what it is that you're trying to, what forms of communication you would like to have with them. Um, a good time to manifest just clarity, emotional tolerance. I was speaking to my therapist today, and that was something that came up. Like, how do you emotionally tolerate? Life doesn't get easier. We learn, we like develop a tolerance for it. We are more grounded in our emotional bodies. It could be a good time to manifest emotional grounding, emotional tolerance. Um, yeah, that's what I'm thinking along those lines and more. So feel free to also do that. Add a little minute for us. I feel like it's quiet over here. I will come to you with come to your river, wash my soul. I will come to your river, wash my soul. I will come to your river, wash my soul again. Carry away my disease, let me baptize my soul with the help of your waters. Sing my veins and complaints, let the river take them, river drown them. My ego and my claim, let me baptize my soul with the help of your waters. Those who means I'm so ashamed, let the river take them, river drown them. Come to the river, I will come to the river, I will come to the river. Come to your river, wash my soul. I will come to your river, wash my soul. I will come to your river, wash my soul again. Carry away my old things, let me baptize my soul with the help of your waters. See my pains and complaints, let the river take them, river drown them. My ego and well, if y'all want to, you can continue writing. Um, but we are going to close out because we are literally a whole hour past. But yes, yes, yes. Thank you all for being present. Thank you all for being here with us today, for sharing this energy. Um, I come with a lot of gratitude and love, a lot of gratitude and love. And as I have set forth my intentions for the year, it has been really based in community. So thank you for being a part of this journey with me. And thank you for being here, being present. Doing this work is not easy. Congratulate yourself for being present, for being here. Like, it's not this, I don't feel like this work is light. I feel like it can get to being light. And just doing it, like just being present is, what am I trying to say? Just being present is like the first step, and it's a huge step. So I just want to give thanks, always giving thanks to the folks that were here, giving thanks to Lee, giving thanks to our people who are actually speaking, such as Aye, Veronica, Brianna, Keith, and other folks I may be forgetting a name. Oh, Elle, and sorry, right outside. But yes, this has been really wonderful. This has been really transformational. Thank you to Lee for your message. Thanks to everyone for participating. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to add. Yeah, I just appreciate y'all. And yeah, I look forward to doing this in the future again at some point.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. I will just say until next time. And thank you, Love, for again hosting this space with all of us. I don't have too much more to add. You guys know where to find me. Go enjoy yourselves. Go celebrate yourselves. I invite you to sit with yourselves. Whatever came up, allow it to come and flow and pass, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
Bye, y'all. Take care.